Welcome back to the Playdate by Freshly Picked. I'm Krista, your host, and I am so excited for the episode that we have for you today. Today, I have my friend and neighbor, Markie Ostler, and she is the content creator behind Meet Everly Joe on Instagram. So go ahead and give her a follow. We'll make sure to tag it in the show description. But today, she is going to be telling us about her birth story with her daughter, Everly. Now, I want to go ahead and put a big old trigger warning on this because we're going to be talking about a pretty dramatic journey that she had, and it involves infant loss and all of those things. Our goal today is to give grace and love to the mamas out there who are battling congenital heart defect with themselves, with their babies, with their children, and we are excited to get in. So without further ado, let's get into it. Markie, welcome to the Playdate by Freshly Picked. How are you?
I'm doing so good. Thank you for having me.
Good. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your story. I just admire you so much for being so vulnerable and being there for other people. It's really amazing what you're doing.
Thank you. I always say that people say like I'm being there for other people, but also I selfishly do it because it's therapeutic for me. So I'm sure we'll talk more about that. But yeah, I just had to preface that.
Yes. Okay. Well, I am so excited to get into your story and kind of talk about your sweet bebe. But before we do, let's get into a couple get to know you questions. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Let's start. Just tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about your Instagram and all of that good stuff.
So my name is Markie. I am from St. George, Utah. Cute little southern town not southern town. It is not a southern town. It is
it's southern Utah.
Right,
yeah,
right.
Southern town.
But it's not like, hey, y'all,
hey,
southern.
Y'all. Yeah.
No, I'm from St. George. I always explain it to people that I'm closer to Las Vegas than I am Salt Lake. So it's very deserty, very red rock, beautiful, beautiful place. Picture Zion National Park. That's where I was born and raised.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I have basically my entire family's there. I was born and raised down there with a huge family, mixed family, lots of parents, lots of grandparents, a zillion Christmases, a zillion Thanksgivings. I was very, very blessed. And I have a great family. I have great relationships with my family now that I'm older, of course. But yeah, and then I am married to my sweet baby daddy, who I love so much. I always tell people, I'm like, you think that you know the greatest man on earth. He is nothing compared to Drew because he is just my perfect match in every way. And he's just so great. And he has blessed me with 3 beautiful babies. So that's a little bit about me. Urban, my oldest is 8 and my youngest Van is 4. And then today we're going to be talking a little bit about Everly. She would have been almost 7, but unfortunately she did pass away, and she's still a huge part of our family. And we involve her in everything we do, and we miss her every day.
I love that.
But yeah, that's just a little bit about me.
Oh, I love it. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the
Instagram.
The first. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Because that was kind of part of your first question, but I didn't really answer it.
I just love you so much. I just want to ask you all the questions. Tell us about Instagram.
How many hours do we have in a day? And especially with us two, because we're friends, we can talk.
We can talk.
It's like you're dropping me off after book club and we sit in the car for another hour. That's the type of friendship we have. So basically, I found out at the 20-week ultrasound that my daughter was diagnosed with heart defects. And I knew that she would need open heart surgery. And I didn't want to force that upon people because it is a very triggering, very alarming content. And so what I did was the very night before Everly was born, I started an Instagram account called Meet Everly Joe. And basically I just put it out to all my friends and family and all of my personal page, the followers on that, which was 600 people or something. And I was just like, hey, this is going to be a journey and it's not going to be a pretty one.
So you didn't tell people?
I did a little bit, but not yet. So people knew, I had posted on my personal page, hey, we received this diagnosis. It's going to be crazy prayers, blessings would be great, you know, that type of thing. But again, I didn't want to like people to like open up their Instagram and immediately see like a baby hooked up to all these machines and stuff and like have that be really triggering for them. And so I literally just like put out this preface the night before that said, if you want to follow Everly's journey, I'm going to post about her on this page because we're going to be like living in the hospital for who knows how long. And I don't want to be on my phone with everybody all day long answering questions. And I want to really just focus on her. So I'll do at least an update a day.
Yeah.
And I put that out there and I got, 300-400 followers right then and there.
Yeah.
So then basically the next morning when she was born, it was just like, okay, like she was born. Hi, meet Everly Joe. Like she's here, That's why I started it. And then I've kept it, like I said earlier, for therapeutic reasons, to raise awareness for heart defects, and also to absolutely be there for other people who are going through similar things.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And I can't believe that you said something earlier, said like, I didn't want people to be triggered by seeing my baby under wires.
It's kind of twisted, right? It's kind of twisted because it's like part of me is, oh, you're triggered by this picture. Like try living with it, ho. Sorry.
Try living with it, ho.
Sorry, I need to make sure I refrain from my sailors.
You're totally good.
What do you call it?
Mouth?
Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, it is because sometimes I'm just like, deal with it, bro. But I have had a couple friends straight up tell me that they couldn't follow. Like they could not follow my account because they love her too. And they,
and that's understandable.
Yeah, it's just, it's a lot. And I get how heavy of a topic it is. And so I do understand it, but also I'm a Gemini and I think two things at once. So part of me is like, deal with it. Just support me and my baby.
Right.
And then the other part of me is like, I get it. You protect your peace,
Oh my gosh.
So I put that out there for people. And again, the followers came. I don't know. I don't know how that all happened, but it did. It started blowing up and people from all over the world were supporting her on her journey. And it was like the coolest thing ever.
That's
so
amazing.
Yeah, it was a blessing to have that community through all the phases of her life.
Oh my gosh. I can't even imagine like having not only responsibility for your daughter, but now kind of a responsibility to this little group
to
that you
update
created.
People.
Yes.
Yeah. It was good though. It kept me, I kind of had to like dumb things down sometimes. Like doctors would tell us information and then for me to give an update, I literally would read the description out to like my mom and to Drew like 7 times and be like, does that make sense to you? Because it was so confusing and just heart stuff. There's it's a lot of medical terms. So, and it was good. It was good to just be like, thank you for asking what's new, but like, that's the update. Like the update's there.
Yeah.
And I love you, but I'll
go read it.
Yes, exactly.
Take me back to the 20-week appointment because that's when you found out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And this is your second pregnancy.
Yep.
The first one was
my first pregnancy. I barfed the whole time. It's great. And then he came out looking just like his dad, of course.
Love it. Classic.
No, it was really weird because my oldest had the silliest little heart defect, but his wasn't congenital. Congenital means that you'll be born with a heart defect, no matter what. Urban, my oldest, he had like a tiny little dot on his heart that as his heart grew, the dot became less and less scary. And so at the 20-week, they told us this thing about his heart and we were like freaking out.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's like was prepping us or like why that all had to happen. But he was born, he was fine. His birth was probably my most traumatic out of, I don't know.
Really?
Yes. Oh yeah. Gosh. When you asked about Everly's birth story, me and Drew, I was talking to my husband. He literally was like, Everly's was the least traumatic. Yeah.
Oh
like her life journey obviously is
the most traumatic.
But no, her birth was kind of a breeze compared to the rest of her life. So yeah, we found out at the 20-week ultrasound. I went in talking with the technician being like, oh, my first pregnancy, I swear I have PTSD from that because I am so nervous for this 20-week I literally, you guys, I threw up the morning of the 20-week ultrasound with Everly. I only threw up in the first trimester. But at the 20-week ultrasound that morning, I pulled over on the freeway and threw up out of my car because I was just so nervous.
So nervous.
And my sister was pregnant at the time too. And she texted me and she's like, I totally understand the nerves you have, but like, just remember that everything's going to work out and like all this stuff.
Oh my gosh.
So I literally was like, I'm so nervous. I think something's wrong. I felt like something was wrong.
You did.
Oh, I totally did. I thought at the very beginning of the pregnancy, I thought I had miscarried a couple times. It was really just cysts rupturing and just random stuff that would like make me bleed and stuff. So just things like that. But I never, ever had the confidence that I would have her in this life. And that's like so terrible as a mom to feel, because then you have to like explain to other people that. I literally would tell my husband like, okay, I'll rely on your belief that everything's going to be okay. Cause like, I just don't feel that. But anyways, so the technician, she of course did the thing where she got all quiet and she put the wand down and she said, and I was alone, by the way. My husband was in New Jersey traveling at the time for work. And I was FaceTiming him at the time. And she just said very bluntly, I do want to be honest with you. I do see something wrong with your baby's heart. I'm going to go get the doctor immediately to come in and talk to you about it. And so I just lost it. And also I was like, I told you. Like I wanted to just scream in everybody's face and be like, I knew something was wrong and nobody believed me. They just thought it was, because people do have like
traumatized.
Yeah. And they do have like prenatal anxiety.
Yeah.
Like that's totally a thing. But mine was just premonition.
Real.
I feel like, So I found out at the 20-week ultrasound and then immediately just started doing research and just seeing what our future held. The doctor told us it wasn't an absolute death sentence, but it's an absolute surgery sentence. Your daughter would need surgery no matter what when she's born. So we just started doing research on all the surgeries that she would need throughout her life. And we're just like, okay, let's
go.
Buckle up and go for it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I can't imagine that like pressure, because you're still a relatively new mom. This is your second.
Totally. And he was young. I mean, I got pregnant with her when he was only 8 months old. So
oh my gosh, I did not realize that.
Yeah, he was like 18 months old when she was born.
Oh my gosh.
What's 9 plus 9? Yeah.
8, yeah.
Yeah. So around there. But yeah, I was still very, very new mom for sure.
Okay, tell me a little bit about going into the birth. Like, were you already checked into the hospital? Did you go into labor?
Yeah. So we basically scheduled my C-section with her. So I'm a C-section mama, all three of my babies. The reason for that is because Pitocin does not work on me. My oldest, like I said, his was very traumatic. There was one point where they had me like on my hands and knees in the hospital bed, reviving him, taking pressure off my belly to revive him. And they were trying to get me a vaginal birth so bad, but I literally was like, all of my sisters have had C-sections. We have so random, but we have a pear-shaped, what's this thing? Where your
donut
baby's
pillow?
No.
Oh, your pelvic bone?
Yes. Pelvis. Thank you. We have a pear-shaped pelvis. It's like, it looks male.
Oh.
Me and my sisters. But when most women, it's an oval. And babies can fit through it. Babies can't fit through our pelvis.
Oh my gosh.
And so knowing all of that from my first birth, that was 30 hours on Pitocin, 3 shift changes, 3 doctor changes, 3, it was like, hello, I'm still here. Hi, you went home and took a nap and went to the gym and I'm still here laboring. It was nuts. Anyways, C-section. So because that was the reason for the C-section, my doctors up at the U, they were like, let's just schedule your C-section for Everly. Like, you're not going to have a vaginal birth. It's just not going to happen. And so I was like, hey, let's do it. So that's why I say like hers was just super simple and easy.
Because you scheduled it.
It was scheduled. I got a good night's rest the night before.
Awesome.
Like, just my family was in town. My mom and sister, my other sister came into town to help and they were helping with Urban and stuff. And so yeah, we just went in, got everything started. It was a great C-section, pretty quick. And my doctor then told me that my scar tissue from my first was really, really bad. and that I needed to wait a really long time if I wanted more kids. And I was like, don't tell me what to do. But like, okay, thank you for that. So anyways, that was really the only like complication essentially, other than, you know, my daughter is coming out, and I'll send you pictures if you want to like post them or whatever. But I begged to have my photographer in there, and she got this beautiful picture of the doctor holding up just the most perfect little angel baby you've ever seen in your entire
newborn
life
I have ever seen.
And I just saw her like over the sheet, and then they passed her through a window. It's funny. It's not even a door. It's literally a window from the delivery room to like
you didn't
the
get
nursery.
a hold her?
No, I never got to hold any of my babies. Never. People talk about like feeling that feeling of your baby on your chest. Not even once did I get that.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that's fun. They passed her through the window, and then they started sewing me up, and they started working on her. And it's funny. I want to say 6 or 7, like a team of like 6 or 7 people around me. Everly had like 8 doctors, 13 nurses, 15 liaisons, insurance person, this person, a lawyer. Like she had
oh my gosh,
an entire crazy team. Her entire hospital bill was over $2 million.
Shut up.
Yeah.
My gosh.
Like, thank you, insurance. That's
thank you,
literally the only time we can say thank you, insurance.
Holy crap.
So yeah, I mean, that's essentially her birth. It was pretty easygoing. And then I wasn't allowed, so they transported her to Primary Children's.
And where were you? Where did you
I was
get
at the U.
Okay.
And Primary Children's Hospital is
fairly
across
close,
the street. Yeah, but they have like a bridge. And it was actually really sweet. The transport team, they say that they like snuck her in to see me. But before they transferred her to primaries, she was like stable and doing good and stuff. They wheeled her into my room. And then I was sitting there, and one of the transport team, they have to be mothers. Like they have to, or they're angels. I don't know who these women are, but I love them so much.
The same thing, right?
Yes.
Mamas and angels.
Yes, exactly. But I just remember one of them looking at me and being like, do you want to hold her real fast?
Oh.
And I was like, yes, please. And I just lost it. And yeah, that was the first time I got to hold my baby. That was probably a couple hours after the delivery.
Oh my gosh.
So then they took her to primaries. And then my only thing that I had to do was like stand up in my room, go pee by myself. And that was like the sign off to where I could go like see her essentially. Like I just got ripped open. Like C-section, sure. But like my baby is half a mile away from me. Like I have to go.
I have to go.
It's not an option. Like, get me out of here. So yeah, I was over there in like another 2 or 3 hours. Like I was just like ready to go.
You're like, okay.
Yeah, bye.
I need to go.
Also,
let's do it.
I'm like weird, and I think my pain tolerance is a little different from other people's, but I was just like running off. Like, I don't know how much time I have with her. And like, I am using that to like spend every second I can. So get me over there.
Let's talk about that. Yeah. Yeah. Like, so when she was born, how long before you knew like she was going to pass away sooner rather than later? Did you
Never.
think you didn't?
No. Long story short, she had to have a ton of procedures and stuff, but 2 open heart surgeries. The first open heart surgery, it's hard to explain, but basically your lungs have to give your body oxygenated blood, and it has to give your lungs oxygenated blood. Her first surgery was to balance those things out. So she got that first surgery. It's called a BT shunt. B is in boy, T is in Tom, shunt. The BT shunt worked too well. And that's so confusing. But point of the story is she wasn't getting enough oxygenated blood to her body because her lungs were doing good, but her organs started failing. So they took her back in 2 weeks later, did a second open heart surgery for essentially the same surgery. They just had to tighten up that shunt a little bit. It's crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, so, and the doctors up there, man, they are next level, just amazing, smart. I didn't know. I was the only one, again, that wasn't like super confident in bringing her home. I had a lot of guilt about that and still do. Like, that's really hard to even say out loud, is just like, why are you even putting that out there? I didn't put that out there. That was like conversations I had with me and Drew. And I literally was just like, I am relying on you and your faith and your feelings because I just don't know if she's going to come out of this. Like, I just, truthfully, I couldn't like see it. And that just breaks my heart. It's like terrible to admit, but yeah. So after that second surgery, she started doing so well. She was finally out of the SICU, which is the cardiac ICU. And we say graduated to the third floor because when you're up at primaries, everybody wants to go to the third floor because that means you're healthy enough to like almost go home.
Yeah.
So she graduated to the third floor. At this time, she was exactly a month old, exactly a month old in a couple days. She gave us 3 perfect days, perfectly healthy, just happy, smiley. We were in a bigger room. Urban was able to come. People started coming to meet her. I have pictures with her and friends of mine that we were finally able to just like introduce her to everybody. And we were so excited that she was healthy enough to do that. And this was in November, by the way. So we were very like careful about like the cold and the germs and all the crap going around. But again, she was doing so good that we were just like, come meet her. Like you finally can. So I remember that night and I have a video. It's like my favorite memory of all time. Nothing will ever be this memory. But we had decorated her room for Christmas. We put up Christmas lights. We put up a little Christmas tree. And I took a video of the room. In the video, I pan around. And in the video, you can see like Urban on the couch or the ground, like playing with cars. And then you can see Drew rocking Everly. And then what we did was we actually like said goodbye to her, kissed her goodnight, went to put Urban to bed because we're still parents to an 18-month-old.
Yes.
So
Oh my gosh.
we had to we were trying to like keep some things normal for him. So yeah, we went home, put him to bed, and then we got a call from the hospital and I knew immediately what the call was. And we had gotten another call like a month prior when she was coding, but they ended up saving her. But yeah, they just called. They just said, she's not doing okay. She's not doing okay. You need to get here. You need to get here. So yeah, we just got in the car. Drew and I didn't really even say anything. The only thing we said on that drive, we lived in Lehigh and we were going to primary children. So it was like a half-hour drive, 25 minutes, half hour at that time. And I think it was him that said, I just don't know how much her little body can do this. Like, how much can it take? And I said, that's exactly my feelings. So we kind of went in with those feelings of just like, almost like, and I always said that I would fight for her as long as she wanted to fight.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I did a pretty good job of that.
100%. Yeah.
But yeah, like when we got there, we just felt kind of somber. She wasn't in the SICU. So like the nurses up there were very rattled and very startled because they're not in the coding,
the
critical condition coding, floor. So they were all very rattled and just like, they were in tears. They were heartbroken because they could tell that Everly wasn't doing good. And they felt responsible, like because she was on their watch type of thing. They did end up calling time of death after 45 minutes of CPR on her.
Oh my gosh.
And I won't talk about that too much right now, but I will say that I witnessed it. My husband went into a different room. I witnessed the time of death. It was literally right when I was in the doorway to go in to the room. And there was like, I swear, like 15 people in there. The doctor called time of death. And I remember all of their eyeballs, all of them shot over to me. And I'll never forget that. They were all like masked up in blue and yellow, ugliest colors ever, by the way, for scrubs. Like how I try to make light of stuff. I'm like, oh, I make people cry every day. Sorry. Anyways, it was terrible. And I just remember all their eyeballs. And it was so weird because like I was mourning for myself, but then I was mourning for the community that she had built.
Yeah.
And I was mourning for my mom and I was mourning for my dad. I was mourning for my in-laws. They just lost a granddaughter. Yeah, like, and of course him. And in that minute or so, they were like putting jammies on her because they were going to come, have us hold her. But in that like maybe 30 seconds, I knew she was gone, but my husband didn't because he had gone in the other room and I had gone to go be with her. And so I felt guilty. I'm like, he doesn't even know. We're both sitting here crying and I can't even like talk. I can't even say like, she's gone. Like she's gone. Anyways, so I'm really good at compartmentalizing. I'm sorry. It's just one of those things that if I allow myself to go too deep into those feelings, I'll be swept up.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to keep that light. But it's kind of hard to keep light,
Yeah.
you know? It's one of those
No
one of those
kidding.
things. So yeah, that we got, almost 5 weeks with her. I'm convinced, you guys, I am convinced she wasn't supposed to be here that long. I'm convinced that the doctors were like, nope, screw the universe's plans to like only have you here for a week. Like, no, we're this good at our job. We're going to recover you. We're going to bring you back. And they got me almost 5 weeks with my daughter. I have pictures and videos, and she met Urban, my oldest, and we held her and she met friends, and that is all because of modern technology. And so I choose to just be so extremely grateful. Some people are like, oh, like you never even got to bring her home. And I'm like, yeah, I never got to bring her home. But like, what if she had had a heart attack at home and I had to do CPR on her and we lost her? Like, no thanks.
Yeah.
I will take this hard over that hard.
Yeah.
And so again, like it's work, but I have to find the good.
Yeah.
Or else I would never get out of bed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's just
totally.
one of those things.
And your big thing on your Instagram is feeling joy and grief at the same time.
Exactly.
So tell us a little bit about that. Like, what does that mean to you?
Yeah. So posting the post that she had passed away was literally the worst. And then I took like a week and a half off. We did funeral stuff and stuff like that. But then I decided like, I'm just going to word vomit. And I did. Like, if you guys scroll down all the way down to the beginning, like I word vomited some deep, dark stuff about her death and just my feelings on everything. Sometimes I'm mad. Sometimes I'm sad. Sometimes I'm crying. I remember like posting about how like I went and returned all of the clothes I could to like help pay for, I don't know, like her hospital bills or whatever, just like things like that people don't think about.
Yeah.
And so again, I came back to the page maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks later, and I just said, I just want to thank you guys. The community has been amazing. I'm probably just going to use this account to raise awareness for heart defects and also to word vomit my feelings. And that was that. That was almost 7 years ago. I mean, 6.5 years ago, I guess. And for some reason, it's just grown into what it is. And I just don't even get it because people will say I'm an influencer. And I'm just like, bro, if you only knew why I have the followers I have. Like,
I know. It's kind of that weird like terrain where
awkward.
it's like.
I cannot tell you the faces. I can get the craziest faces out of people when they're like, so what do you do? Like I'm an influencer in an event and they're like, I do makeup. I sell this. I do this. And I'm like, well,
my daughter died.
Yeah, I talk about being happy and sad at the same time because my daughter died. And so, yeah, I mean, I can laugh about it because I cry about it. And I can feel joy because I had 5 weeks with her. And I can feel pain because I lost my freaking daughter.
Because you had 5 weeks with her.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And I really do. Like I have 2 happy, healthy boys at home and they keep me so busy. And I'm like, I still experiencing everything that motherhood like has while also being like, I'm missing one, like always looking for my little duckling. So just feeling all the things at all the same time.
Oh my gosh, what a story, Markie. I'm over here just like crying my eyes out.
I know,
oh my gosh.
sorry.
It is so sad. And so like, you know what came to me as you were talking is so many mamas are going through this. And congenital heart defects are so much more common.
So common.
Than
1 in 100 babies.
Yes. And that's like, that's a crazy statistic.
Yeah. For how many babies are born every single day.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have heart defects that wouldn't know it. Your heart is just overcompensating forever and ever. So that's interesting. I think everybody needs an EKG. Everybody does. Because one day you might be 42 and you might have a heart defect. And that's what happened with her. Like her heart for those 3 days, she wasn't giving us any signs because her heart was overcompensating for its illness until she couldn't anymore. And they, called it a heart attack and she passed away. So it's just, it's just hard. And I feel like diagnosis day was probably the worst day in my life. Like, even though I lost her, like you would probably think that the day she died was the worst day of my life. And I don't know how I would compare them, but the diagnosis day was probably the hardest part because I knew that it was either like losing my daughter or watching my daughter be in pain her entire freaking life.
Yeah.
And so, and it's just so common. And
It's so common.
all the people that like came out of the woodwork that were like, my cousin has this, my
Yes,
neighbor
my
has this,
neighbor.
it's just everywhere. And we still, 6 years later, like I still try to like raise awareness for it because
Yes.
it's just not talked about.
Right. No, totally. I so appreciate that because people need to know. Like,
Yeah.
people need to know. What would you say if a CHD mama was listening to this right now? What would you want to say to her or any people who are going through hardships with their babies? What would you want to say to them?
I love this question because it's probably not what you think.
Okay, I'm ready.
My answer to that is Everly's journey is so different
Mm.
from every other heart baby's journey. We got so close with all the families in that wing. I'm still close with them today. I've been to their birthday parties of these kids that are actually thriving and doing really good. And so when I was pregnant and found out she had heart defects, everybody was like, modern medicine is amazing and she's going to live forever. I even had a friend, because I'm just stubborn and a little wild sometimes. I literally had a friend that said, Markie, she's your daughter. She's not going anywhere. And I was just like, okay, thanks for that. But she did, And so my advice, or what I would tell people, is like, don't let Everly's story scare you. Just let it be like, use it as an educational purposes, because her little buddies that were like her roommates in the ICU, they're all doing really good. And they have their problems. Like some of them only have half a heart. Like it's crazy. Like it's nuts. And so it's not like they are just freaking climbing Mount Everest, but they're doing good and they're in school and they have lives and they have older and younger siblings. They're so happy and so freaking cute. And so just don't let Everly's story scare you, because your baby might and probably will be great because of how amazing modern medicine is.
I love that. That is so good to remember too.
Yeah.
And they have a community and they can follow you.
And it's bigger now than it was even then, because when I found out the diagnosis, I immediately started following. I like went on Instagram and did #CHD, and there was one baby that came up. And I follow them. I'm friends with them. They live in Hawaii, the Givens. They're the freaking cutest. And Zola is crushing it and doing amazing. But she was like 1.5 years or 2 years at the time and just going through these, heart surgeries and stuff like that. And I was just like, hey, this is the life. But now if you look at that hashtag, there's a zillion of them.
That's
amazing
awesome.
stories. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Well, thank you so much for sharing. That was so much. Hope
it was a lot.
Hope the listeners are doing okay. Hope you're doing okay. I think it's important though. So thank you so much for sharing your birth story. And
I just have to say, like, I cry a lot. So as much as I'm like I said before, I'm really good at compartmentalizing, and I'm just like, let's make jokes about my daughter that died, and that's terrible. And my humor, I have the darkest humor ever. Sorry about that. I go home and I sit in my feelings and I think about it. So I just wanted to like preface that a little bit. Not that I have to like explain myself to anybody, but I just wanted to preface that because I am not like this bubbly, energetic person all the time.
Yeah.
I definitely have my low of lows, and that's a just whole like other episode. Yeah.
Tune in next time for the dark side. Just kidding.
If this one is the light one,
that's true. Yikes.
Jeez Louise. These listeners would not love that. But thank you so much for having me. And it's very therapeutic. And I will talk forever about my perfect baby angel girl. So
she is.
Thank
She's
you
so sweet. You're so welcome. Thanks so much for listening. And don't forget to tune in to next week's episode of The Playdate by Freshly Picked. Bye.
Bye.